Okay, so we went to a bit of a special event. As you can kind of see out the window behind Laura there, that's a big pile of snow. Yes, you're not seeing things. That's snow because it's February right now and not October. And we went to a special Valentine weekend haunted house called Valentine X. So this was at a normal haunt that we go to every year, the 11th Hour in Melrose Park. But this is a special Valentine-themed haunt, a dark walkthrough, a blackout, if you will. You only had a little glow stick to light your way. And it was a one-off event. What did you think, Laura?
Well, I like the whole idea of it. I mean, Valentine's Day, getting a haunt in the middle of winter, that was pretty good. The only thing is, I mean, we were with the two other people. They were letting people, groups of 4, and of course we didn't get a glow stick, so we were pretty much, and of course we lost the people with us, so we were pretty much in the dark. I mean, you can kind of navigate literally in the dark. I mean, you didn't see a whole lot. So as far as, I mean, the whole premise and the whole idea of it was very good. It was basically the same path and very similar to the 11th Hour, you know, for Halloween. It's just that time it had a zombie theme. This time it was like a Valentine's Day with this bear and you know, a serial killer and everything. So, I mean, they had some of the old sets, but as far as the darkness, I mean, it was good and bad. Yeah, yes, good because you didn't know what was going on. But on the other hand, I mean, you couldn't see anything, so you really couldn't see the makeup of the actors. You couldn't see the sets. There was just some of the rooms had very dim light. You can make out a little bit, that was the cool part. But there wasn't a whole lot you could see, and there weren't a whole lot of scares. So it's just basically you're walking around, but of course, it ends up turning into one of these things where you get lost and it's dark and then you're in these mazes and you don't know and there's different dead ends. So after a while that got a little, I don't know, it got old real fast. I do have to add though, they were playing music and a couple of the songs that came out were pretty good. So while we were trying to navigate and getting lost, I was getting very kind of aggravated, but at least there was some good music playing, so that made up for a little bit. But on the whole, I know this is like a one-time thing, and I like the whole idea of having a haunt, you know, around Valentine's Day or having a haunt, you know, not just at Halloween, being able to do it at different times of the year, which I think is great. But as far as the haunt itself, I mean, I was a little disappointed because it was too dark, and the getting lost and not finding our way, getting caught up with groups of people, and we're just kind of stuck. It's not too fun for me, so I am looking forward to what they're going to do for Halloween next year. I hear it's going to be different, so I am looking forward to that, and I'm hoping, you know, it'll be a big improvement. So anyway, I guess I'll give it a two chainsaws. You know, like I said, if it had a little more lighter, I could see the sets, and we didn't get caught in that maze with other people and everything, it'd probably be a much higher rating.
Okay, so now as you may or may not know, Laura was trying to be nice there in that commentary, but I won't be, and I don't mean it in a rude way, but I have to be honest. This was awful. I'll just put it that way. My interest level as I walked in the door, when I found out it was exactly the way it was going to be, I thought it'll be good because you don't know what's coming at you in the dark, and obviously people are going to jump out and maybe they'll be lit up, like when they with a flashlight under their chin or something, and boo and whoa, you know, and you can't see anything because all you have is this little glow stick. This was not dark to the point where you couldn't see anything at all, but it was dark enough where it was dangerous for you. In fact, we signed waivers to go in here in case anything happened to us, and I could see why, because there were easily ways that you could stumble and trip and fall and get hurt. I could see it. So I spent a lot of time when I walked into the haunt looking at the floor and making sure that I wasn't walking where I was going to trip and fall. And that of course takes a lot of the haunt experience away. So when I went in there, my expectation was, I don't know, somewhere between a 3 and a 4 chainsaw haunt, but within about 5 minutes it went down to 0. Okay, my expectation went to 0 because it was completely dark. You couldn't see any sets, very few sets, so it took away from all the set detail. Plus, it was the 11th hour. We've been to 11th hour before, this location, and it was the 11th hour sets. It was exactly the same, so I even remembered some of the pattern. And the supreme irony was when we went to 11th hour in October, they had a power problem, a lighting problem. So some of the lights were out, so we experienced this dark haunt already inadvertently in October, and now we experienced it deliberately here. But the thing was, there wasn't enough variety in there. There weren't enough actors. There wasn't enough of a backstory. There was this slight backstory about this homicidal bear who was supposed to be in there, and he was in there. But really, that's it. To say it was a Valentine's haunt, there really wasn't much of a Valentine's theme. But the primary problem, in my opinion, was the complete darkness took away from all the actors' costumes and makeup. It took away from the set design. And in fact, it took away from the scares, because there got to a point where there were some areas that were so dark, there were actors coming out. They were coming out and jumping out and scaring people, but you couldn't see them. So there was nothing to be scared about. You could hear them, but in some spots you couldn't see anything. So you'd hear a funny voice or something, and And there was, the majority of the haunt was spent getting lost in a dead end full of dark walls. And it wasn't a dark maze where it was completely black. It wasn't. You could see where you were going enough in there. You could walk and see what was up ahead and things. But there was nothing but dead ends there. And we ran across the same groups 3 and 4 times.
And we were caught up with them, like, and stuck.
Just over and over and over. I'm gonna say 2 things that I found enjoyable, positive here. The bear, actually, he was had a kind of cool costume. He was in a tuxedo and he had a bear head, and it was like a beat up teddy bear head and a knife. Okay, he looked cool. There was a clown that came up to us in one scene. He was a really creepy looking clown from what I could see. And he was all white, so even in the dark he showed up. And he was creepy with his voice. He was creepy with his makeup. So I'll give a half a star for that. A half a chainsaw. And then there was a room with glowing walls. And when the lights were on, the walls were normal. When the lights turned off, they glowed.
Yeah, that was cool.
And there was the teddy bear guy was in there. He was walking around in there too. And that was cool. Obviously, you're not going to change an entire haunt setup for a 2-day event. That makes sense to me, because you're not going to change all the set designs and everything like that for a 2-day haunt when you have a normal haunt that operates every October. All makes sense to me. I wasn't expecting anything like that. But I have to say, if I had to describe this in one word, boring. I wanted to get out of there. I just didn't care anymore after about 5 minutes. I just didn't care. And I go to a haunt to be entertained, scared. Well, not always scared, but entertained for sure. So 1 star for me, unfortunately. Now, 1 chainsaw for me, unfortunately. I will say that, as Laura mentioned, there's going to be a completely different theme coming up in October. We're looking forward to that. And I will also say that I'm glad that this Valentine X thing was a one-off. If it comes back next year as Valentine X, I don't think I'm going to go. It's a novel idea to go at an off time of the year, but it really wasn't anything. I can't say it was anything. So, 1 from me.